Afternoon, everyone. We are now going to start. Let us hear from our CIB.O Executive Director, Buddy.
Good afternoon, Neil. Good afternoon, everyone. So we have a good number this afternoon. 44, no? And we're looking up at several more trying to log in. Well, this is a series of this is part of a series of events that CIB.O is organizing, and this is not just for the industry, but this is for everybody considering the advent of virtual meetings that we've been doing since the pandemic last year. And to give you a brief introduction on who's going to be with us this afternoon, Neil Antiquina is the technical director of the recently concluded uh, Virtual Transformation Summit, a very successful event hosted by CIB.O and attended by over 1,000 people during the 4-day event. During the 4-day course of events, and we found it a necessity to share what we've done so that you could professionalize your virtual events, level up as we as what we have planned, no, for this one. So without further ado, I'd like to give you Mr. Neil Antiquina. Neil?
Thank you, Buddy. Good afternoon. Good day to everyone. As Buddy had mentioned, I'm the Technical Director of the recent CIB.O 2021 Virtual Transformation Summit. I am an HR and OD practitioner, but I also do, in our company, we also do events management and execution. The leveled up success of the Virtual Transformation Summit has inspired us, both CIB.O and Lilolele, to offer this free webinar on leveling up your own virtual events. Of course, the key factors of the success of the Virtual Transformation Summit was foremost the relevance of the choices of topics. I think that was very one. That's number one. And the masterful delivery of the speakers of their own respective topics. That led to the numerous important insights on the part of the summit participants. So they had so much relevant takeaways, and those are probably the number one reasons why it was a successful event. There were other factors that I call enablers that help. One of these is the technical production of the virtual event. A massive conference like that could not be done or launched without the support of the technical production at the back room. There are a few more enablers like excellent PR and marketing and advertising work and the like, the leadership and the collaboration of the organizing team in CIB.O, with the chairmanship of DJ Moises and the rest who helped there. But for today, the focus would be on the technical production. I will be sharing key principles, or maybe not really principles. I'm not sure about if these are already principles, but key factors and techniques and actual examples from two major actual virtual events and a few minor ones that I helped produce over the past few months. We use Zoom in both events as the video conferencing platform. You may have your own platforms like Google Meet, especially that it's free, MS Teams, also free, WebEx, and many more. What I will share here are general principles or key factors that could work across different platforms. Now, I am not super familiar other on the other virtual video platform other than Zoom and maybe a little bit on MS Teams. So there are others in the group right now who join in and logged in who may also be familiar. Some of these that I'm going to share may not be new to you. I hope, despite that, you may still find something helpful from this presentation. I mentioned two big events. No, the first one, of course, is our CIB.O 2021 Transformation Summit, recently held last month. And the second one is the PMAP Cebu 3rd EGMM. For the Transformation Summit and the PMAP EGMM, we were looking for inspirations on the handle, that's what we call it, the handle, or the concept of the virtual participants experience. So what would they experience like? So what is the theme? What is the handle? You know, in virtual events or events management, we call it the handle of the event. But quite simply, it's the theme, no, for most of us. So we were looking at this. No, it's like the CNN watching a newscast with the speakers line up or position side by side with each other. You know, beautiful, and you know, with some breaking news kind of intermission, and the host or the speaker would look like this exactly. So when we studied what makes this newscast so compelling to watch, we digested what I now call the principles of screen broadcasting. So I will repeat that. We studied and digested what makes it tick. You know, like the newscast. Why is it so compelling? And there are many executions, CNN, Fox News, or even your own local news. There are many executions. And I won't dwell on making sure that I quote all the examples, the techniques, but I'd rather focus on what the principles are so that when you get to know about this, or probably most of you have already known this, but maybe it's not digested. So I've digested it and I've come up with this. There are three principles of screen broadcasting. I call it SGS. So easy to remember. Number one, S for screen continuity. So it's like 70%, 60% of the total experience. And then second would be great graphics, which also enable screen continuity to a certain extent. And then finally, the seamless dynamics amongst all players. Front row, the one can be shown on the screen, the speakers, the host, the moderators, but also all the more in the back room, the one we call the technical team. So SGS. We'll go through each one of that one by one. As a context, before the pre-COVID times in live conferences like this is how it looks like when you're attending one. And this is how it feels and sounds like. You know, it's total 4D, 5D experience. Of course, the main parts are the topics and the speakers. The same thing with virtual events. But other factors affect your total experience. I know, one way or the other, you experience this. Things like the stage, how it's being set up, the color combi, the lights in there, the house lights, the par lights, all of this. The sounds, you know, how crisp is the sound. Even the air conditioning system. You kind of like say, it's too cold, it's too warm, adjust it, etc. And even your seatmates, too noisy, or etc. Or even the table's centerpiece. I know some of you take notice of that. The smell of the conference room, etc., etc. All contribute to your good or bad experience in the conference. So we have that in mind. All of us who have one way or the other have experience on events, management, and execution have that in mind. That was previous or the pre-COVID times. During the COVID, boom. Today, all of those, the things that I have mentioned, from the essentials to the less than essentials, are put together into your experience of viewing and listening to your screen. That's all that matters. So the look, the sound, maybe no smell, no? Well, unless it's a smell of your workplace or at home. And the overall feel of your watching and listening to your screen affect your total virtual experience. Just like earlier when we were doing a tech run, Buddy said, "Sir, your dogs are barking, and we can hear it from here." So even those, no, even those the ambient noise that get into your audio input is a factor for all of this experience. So, SGS, that's the mnemonic I would like you to memorize, and not just memorize, but internalize when you are planning, designing, and executing your next virtual events. This is the essence of the 30-minute webinar. But let's get on to the details. Let's tackle on first screen continuity. For me, this is the 60%, 70% of the success of the enablers called technical production. Screen continuity in virtual events is all about screen broadcasting. I'm not sure if this is already a term in the industry, but I think I'm fond of coming up with some terms. To me, it's screen broadcasting. How is the screen in front of the participants being broadcasted and experienced by the participants themselves live as it unfolds? In the radio and TV industry, screen continuity is equivalent to what they call absolutely no dead air. That's it. That's the simple first principle in radio and TV broadcasting. Absolutely no dead air. So how do you do that in our virtual events management? You know, we're not professionals, but we do virtual events in company. Town hall meetings are now in virtual. So how do we do that? Because as you know, most platforms that I know, which includes Zoom, Google Meet, MS Teams, and a few others, suffer from the lack of continuity when you are changing or shifting from one medium to the other. If you are on multimedia, shifting from the presentation to the unembedded MP4 file of the speaker of the presenter, or from one presenter or speaker to another if you have more than one, just like the virtual summit presentation a month ago with different presentations. As of today, these video conferencing platforms that I have mentioned do not yet offer, or maybe yesterday I did not check, this absolutely critical feature or functionality called screen continuity. I will repeat it again, screen continuity. But there is an app that offers this, and it's popular with gamers. If you're one of the gamers, you know this, though for another reason. It's not for screen continuity. It is also popular with vloggers, video bloggers, for their recording or live broadcasting, for a reason almost similar to our needs in screen continuity. And it's OBS, Open Broadcaster Software. That's how it's called. Now, what is OBS? OBS Studio, that's the name of exactly, Open Broadcaster Software Studio, is a free and open source cross-platform streaming. Why is it cross-platform? Because it can stream to almost all of the social media or video conferencing platforms, including the most popular Zoom, Google Meet, WebEx. And it is also a recording program compatible with, and this is the key, Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. You can download it free at obsproject.com. I'm advertising this because this is so cool. It's free and it's the best in the market. Not even the paid ones from Apple softwares could not even compete with this. There are system requirements though for compatibility, so check it out. So how does it look? The console, the app console looks like this. So you have, if you can see my, I think you can see my mouse pointer. So this is the current slide as we call it. And this is what is being seen, or this is first what is being broadcasted to the participants via Zoom, via MS Teams, Google Meet, etc. So this is the only thing that they see. Whatever is fed there is what they see, both audio, video, and the rest. Now, the queued slide portion is where you will prepare the transition slide or the next slide. And in here are all your slides. And they are not just slides. They are multimedia. They are scenes, as they call it. It's exactly like a slide, but it contains all the multimedia: MP4, MP3, animations, even YouTube links, even embedded cameras for speakers, etc., etc. It's all there. And the principle is that you can queue them. You can even skip from one slide to the other. Unlike PowerPoint and unlike Keynote, where you have to do a little bit of magic to skip into the next, and then the rest will get messed up. But in OBS, it's all here. It's really for broadcasting. And so when you click, so this one as an example, the one here is the one that is being seen and broadcasted to the participants. So that's the only thing that they will see. So when you want to go on to the next slide, which is, for example, this one to the left, as you could smoothly transition. It's not like that. I'm just doing this for graphics, but in the real console, it smoothly, it fades, it does some transition. So there is no like, okay, Mr. Antikina is sharing another his workspace or his PowerPoint. Nothing like that. It will be just like watching a TV newscast where it transitions into each other very smoothly. It transitions in, it transitions out, depending on what you put in here. So just like that, and that's it. So Open Broadcaster Software Studio is your ultimate partner in screen broadcasting. We were not able to use that during the CIB.O Virtual Summit, but we do hope and believe that we can do that so in the next Level Up Summit for CIB.O. But not all of us are up to the rigor of OBS. It's free, it's easy, but there's a rigor into it. No, it requires some technical patience. I'm not saying technical competence, but technical patience and some graphics, content creation skills. That's what you did. And so go check it out. Now, for all of us mortals, we offer an alternative. We call it the continuity slides, using only either MS PowerPoint or Apple's Keynote. Now, pause. I just checked on this on the internet, and to all the Avengers who are here logging in and supporting this webinar, there is no continuity slides in the Wikipedia. So I searched on it. So after all, I thought I just made it up because it seems like it's a continuity slide. So what is a continuity slide? Continuity slides are compilations of sequential slides, so PowerPoint slides or Keynote slides that contain all the segments of the conference or whatever is it virtual event that you're doing, including all multimedia that need to be shown on screen, already embedded and transitioned to run on screen smoothly without the proverbial dead air or obvious transition gaps. Right, that is essentially the continuity slide. Some of you may have already been doing this, but it's not transition. It's not like, it transitions in and out smoothly. So there you have transition slide. It will just go like that, and then there is no parallax effect, for example, as one example of transitions. So many of those you can do in transition slide. So how does it look in a no, this is Keynote. Okay, I lost my PowerPoint example of the continuity slide. So this is the continuity slides. So we have there. So later on a later slide, I will describe how it looks like. This one is for the PMAP continuity slide. And so I'll first share with you what we did for the CIB.O 2021 Transformation Summit. So here's the earlier slide that I'm showing you, which is on the continuity slides on Keynote, but the same thing with PowerPoint is the same thing. It's the same graphics display. So in here, you can see that there is a transition between the sponsor's AVP loops into the start of the program. And in here, there's a transition from the MC slide to the formal introduction of the first speaker. And then there is also a transition on the 5-seconder sponsor ads segment transition slide. So there are many, many other examples that we've done in the CIB.O. What I'd like to do now is to show you some of the few seconds of transition, and then we can talk about it, or you can ask about questions on how we did it later during the question and answer. I'd like to end in a few minutes so that we have 20 minutes or maybe even 30 minutes for Q&A. So let's watch this few seconds of video. The 2021 Transformation Summit will begin now with an opening prayer and the Philippine National Anthem.
We begin this prayer.
So pause. This is a screen continuity example of the transition from the sponsor's AVP loop to the official start of the summit. Just like that, almost seamless. Now, there's a little bit of delay if I were to critique this again. There's a little bit of delay, and it could be done adjusting it in the PowerPoint and Keynote transition. So what we're trying to have here is that you are just like watching a movie, maybe not movie, but like a newscast, a news broadcasting, telecast. Second one.
Join the virtual 2021 Transformation Summit, July 12 to 15, 2021. Register now for free.
Good morning, everyone. I am DJ, this year's conference chair organized by the Cebu IT BPM organization for CIB.O.
Okay, pause. For this one, this is the screen continuity from the start of the summit to the introduction of the MC. You've noticed earlier back in the previous transition, there is a crawler, the one that CNN, Fox News, and all other major news the outfit are having. That can be done from your transition slides. Easy. You just have to record it. You have to pre-record it. In OBS, you can edit it live. So that's the beauty of OBS. But it can be done. It only has to be pre-recorded. So it's not live. It has to be pre-recorded. So for this one, there's a little bit of gaffe there in terms of the MC saying good morning ahead of time. So I'll tell you about the backroom coordination and how it works well when you have that great collaboration, coordination at the back room. So another transition, this is the continuity slide example transitioning from MC to the first live speaker. Take note how we did it. It can be done also in Google Meet and in MS Teams and other, even in WebEx, I believe.
Stay ahead of the transformation. What are the capabilities required moving forward? And how can we collaborate better? These and more we will cover in the 2021 Transformation Summit, starting with the National Economic Forecast. As we know, COVID-19 is a health crisis and an economic crunch and a whole new world of opportunities. To speak more about the Philippine economy and the next level play, let's welcome to the virtual stage Professor for the Center of Economic Research and Development of the Ateneo de Manila University, Dr. Alvin Ang. Good morning, Dr. Ang.
Everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, DJ, for this opportunity to share for our friends in Cebu.
Let me pause it that way. At this point, you will see that the overall experience is not just the transition, but it's also audio. It's important that you have this short, crisp music to go along with supposedly a dead air in the transition. So you can have that. So you must have a little bit of knowledge about where do you get this free, copyright-free audio transitions. And so in here, this is an example of what we wanted to do because of like the CNN, we cannot do the OBS where you can really put them next to each other. And so Zoom, for example, we just need to do a little bit of coordination in the back room, the operator of the continuity slides and the technical director and the MC, and then voila, you'll get that effect. Another example.
Dr. Ang talked about the national economic forecast, and this time we will hear more about market trends specific to the IT BPM industry and why investors should choose Cebu. Our next speaker comes with experience and authority on the subject. It currently leads a company that's a multi-finalist in this year's Information Communication Technology or the ICT Awards in categories such as Best Company, Best Employer, Best Foreign-Owned, Best Company for Health, and Most Innovative Company. This year, it was inducted to the Hall of Fame Award as the best company outside NCR for having won the award 3 years in a row in 2019, 2020, and 2021. Friends, let's welcome our next speaker with our virtual applause, the country manager of Wipro Philippines Incorporated, Mr. Asim Roy.
Hello, good morning. I'm Asim Roy. I manage the country operations for Wipro in the Philippines.
So we pause in here. This is an example of a continuity slide transition from the MC to the recorded presentation and talk of the speaker, Mr. Asim Roy. Note that this one is a pre-recorded presentation and talk. We tried very hard to make it almost believable that it's a live talk. So we kind of asked Mr. Asim to wear exactly the same suit that he was being photographed on the introduction of the speaker, and then we made some quick transition so that when he's being introduced, there is almost no gap. There's a little bit of gap there. We should have fixed it, but then he can speak, and then as if like his video on the speaker face is also bigger than normal. We did some tricks in there, so it's graphics. It's your PowerPoint keynote and then a little bit of graphics. So that's it. No, finally, remember this one of the inspiration. This can be done in OBS, but unfortunately we didn't have OBS then, and so we did something like this.
And to facilitate the panel discussion is our Executive Director for CIB.O. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now turning over the proceedings to Mr. Buddy Villasis.
Welcome to the panel discussion, gentlemen, and Dr. Ligara.
Thank you, Sir Buddy.
There, pause. So this is the best that we can do, but it's not at par with OBS, but it's the best that we can do. So first, what we did was that they have all uniform virtual background, and then what we did is that when there are only 5 of them on screen. Remember Zoom, if you're familiar with Zoom, if you don't put a the sixth camera or speaker, then it would be very bad. It's like 3 and then the 2 at the middle, and so there's like block here. So what we did was to put up what we call a placeholder computer. My second monitor, the Goldberry there that you can see on screen, that's the Goldberry. We put in a blank screen so that it looks nice on. So it helps. It helps. Actually, I hate the one that Zoom does. When there's 5 of you, when there's odd, and there's that block there, I hate that. It just distracts me. And finally, this is, I think, the continuity screen for the ending salvo.
And engagement, and see you tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning for the second day of the 2021 Transformation Summit. Good afternoon.
All right, that's it. That was the CIB.O snippets of the transition slide. So it's all just done with your keynote or keynote or your PowerPoint with a little bit of expertise on slide transitions, both audio and visual. That's it. Even if you don't have OBS, for non-professional events management that you do for your company, this is already okay. Now for PMAP, this is the continuity slides a little bit more colorful, more complex, because we really wanted to have, or at least my boss, no, Miss Vera Chris Villamor, the head of the organizer for this EGMM, was really persistently and consistently asking me, let's do a newscast. Okay, let's do a newscast. So this is how it looks. Let me just pause that whatever you see here on the PMAP side of things, this is not just all my work. Definitely, I only did one thing here, is to coordinate everything. But the rest are done by what we call the PMAP Cebu Avengers 1.0. They're almost all here, or if not for one or two, just supporting, or maybe they will answer the questions, the difficult questions that I could not answer. So they will answer. So welcome, Avengers, PMAP Cebu Avengers 1.0. This is their work. My job was just to coordinate everything. Sorry.
Welcome, members and guests, to the virtual PMAP Cebu 3rd EGMM, the newscast edition, live on PMAP Cebu News TV. This afternoon's news telecast is hosted by our news TV anchor, Ms. Maricel Borromeo Amores. This EGMM is brought to you by the membership committee under the leadership of Ms. Odette Cambonga and Ms. Vera Chris Villamor. This EGMM is sponsored by Intellicare, Timex Philippines Incorporated, and Metro Retail Stores Group Incorporated. Sit back, relax, learn, and enjoy this newscast. Help me please welcome your news TV anchor for this afternoon's newscast, Miss Maricel B. Amores. A holistic, ethical leader and a strategic and performance-focused change agent partner.
The gap there
Ms.
is because I
Amores.
spliced this already.
Good afternoon to our viewers, guests, and members of PMAP Cebu. You're watching PMAP TV News Live. This is Maricel Borromeo Amores, your TV news anchor for this afternoon's newscast. Today is March 26, 2021, and this is TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Here is your rundown for today's headlines. First on our headlines, mark your calendars on June 23 to 25, 2021. Something big is coming down your way. It's the Regional Conference 21. More about this news later. We will be joined by no less than the brains himself of the Regional Conference 21, the program chair, Joe Vinier, but I can. Next on our headlines is the breaking news brought to you by Ms. Maru Villegas. It is something about the Wheel of Fortune. Indeed, something you would want to stay till the end of this newscast. More about that later from Ms. Villegas. One of our trending headlines is our most awaited segment, the feature news story, the News Talk, hosted by Ms. Vera Chris Villamor, with our newsroom guest, Mr. Daly. Watch out for that. And following that next exciting news talk is the news breakout brought to you by Power Duo, Ms. Amabel Abelia and Ms. Jocelyn Gaviola. The news breakout is an experimental, engaging, and relevant fellowship amongst the members and guests of this newscast. So looking forward to it. And finally, a developing story by Chico Recamadas and Odette Cambonga. Both will grill your grit and wits in a quiz show patterned after Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
You are watching the third PMAP Cebu EGMM, the newscast edition by Maricel B. Amores. Brought to you by the PMAP Cebu Membership Committee. Sponsored by Intellicare, Timex, and Metro Retail Stores Group.
Okay, thank you, President Grace. And on to our breaking news. Here is Marud Villegas.
Good afternoon. This is Marud Villegas, broadcasting live from Mactan Island, Cebu, Philippines.
We pause for a few minutes for some commercials from our sponsors. Don't go away, we'll be back.
Paano nga ba natin masasabi?
On to the most awaited of all segments in the newscast. Here is Miss Vera Chris Villamore for the News Talk.
Let us meet our newsroom guest, Mr. Day Lee. Good afternoon, Day.
Ay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Magandang hapon po. Kamusta ka?
Magandang hapon po. Magandang hapon po.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Maruz, and congratulations to all the winners. Thank you, everyone, for watching and participating in this EGMM Newscast edition. This has been your host, Miss Maricel Borromeo Amores, bidding you goodbye until our next telecast.
Thank you, Mike, for unmuting me. All right, so that was the snippets of the PMAP EGMM News Telecast edition that we also produced together with the rest of the Avengers team. Essentially, all the effects that you've seen that I call the continuity slides are really just done ordinarily with the PowerPoint slides. Slide-by-slide transitions are the key, both audio and visual. You'll have to be experts on that. On the keynote side of things, so that's how it looks like. So either way, PowerPoint or keynote. Now, let's break it down a little bit on the continuity slides, because it's not just the transition in and out of the continuity, the different slides. But number one, it's also about the program concept. It doesn't have to be a newscast. It could be something else that might tickle your fancy. So develop that. There needs to be a handle in the entire experience. So they're not just like, because they've watched, remember that they have watched, viewed, listened to numerous, almost boring presentations with no feast of audiovisual experience. So that is the key. The first one is the program concept. And for the PMAP Cebu EGMM, that was under Ms. Vera Chris Villamore. Thank you for making that happen to have that newscast. And then for the CIB.O, Buddy here was also suggesting that we come up with some upbeat, not too much of a news telecast, but still an upbeat, crisp kind of execution. And then number two, in terms of the tool, you have the keynote and the PowerPoint. Very, very simple. And then the creator or the designer of the continuity slides must have at least a very basic graphics expertise. That's how you will create the continuity slides in the entire experience. That's it. The first one, S for screen continuity. The second one is on great graphics. As you can see, aside from the feast of the audio-visual continuity, it was also powered and enabled by graphics design. So first, the key one is the virtual background. I know a lot of you are very good at making virtual background, but it has to also sync with your overall theme, your overall handle. So for example, for CIB.O, so we have this. No, we have just like a newsroom at the back. It's like the IT park. So we have that, and then this one is for the introduction of the speakers, and this one is the transition slide. Another view, and then this is what we call, according to DJ Moss, is the tada slides, no, introducing a segment or between segments, and it's also an advertisement to your sponsors. If you have sponsors, this is a great way to do this, because the AVP loops gets boring. No, after one loop, you already memorize it, and so you don't listen to it, watch it anymore. But for this segment to segment transition, you make it 5 seconder, 10 seconder, or 15 seconder, and vary the transition slides. It's a very good advertisement. So for example, for your company, if you're doing a town hall meeting, it doesn't have to be sponsors ads because you don't have sponsors, but you can do corporate core values or the quarter theme for this, or the most wanted behavior for this month, and you make a little video graphics on that. Very, very beautiful. You put it as a transition slides in between segments or in between speakers. That's some idea. And for the PMAP, we have this virtual background. We borrowed the IT Park picture, the Aduana Pier 1 area, and this is the Mactan Airport, of course. And this is the revolving newsroom backroom. Very, very powerful because it's a GIF. It moves. Then there's a transition. I'm sorry, I did not. Okay, so that's transition in there. Okay, a few seconds more. All right, then the crawler, very, very, very nice. Sorry, I thought I already. I got it from the continuity slide, so the transitions are still there. All right, so let me just wait for a few seconds. I think it should be okay by now. Oh no, I'm sorry. So there's Miss Odette and all the other Avengers team on studio pose, and Miss Vera Chris right there. All right, so that was in terms of the virtual background. So what about opening video loops, sponsor ads, timers, crawlers, as we call it? So this one, we decided that instead of the usual full screen and just the one sponsor, we said, okay, put all the sponsors in there and then let the main sponsor run its video loop on the middle. So it's something like this. So this one is for the CIB.O for Sykes. I hope they get the mileage that they were getting from the CIB.O summit. And so this time in PMAP, this is PMAP's proprietary video. I've asked permission from the content creator, Ms. Ande, for this. So instead of like mentioning the webinar rules, you can just put it in a video. This is done in Canva. There's a free Canva version, so you can do that. And so many other things that you can do. This one is the ads. I think it's a
to be successful, you need to have this blind faith and belief in your future and in yourself. Hello everyone, I'm Siddharth Malhotra. I'm an actor in the Indian film industry. I started off as a model just to make pocket money, trying to pay my rent. Every hurdle that I had, I learned something from it. Don't stop.
There, I think that's the end of it. So, video backgrounds, etc. This one, I just wanted to put it up in here because we were able to achieve that for a 6-speaker kind of thing, it would look like that. And it's the best that we can do versus what CNN is offering and what OBS Studio can do. So graphics is important to enable all the other experience. So if your colors are boring, and then it also affects subliminally of your viewer. Unless this is just a very short team meeting, that's okay. But if you go into town halls now, it's really a show. It's really a presentation. Although we're not the noontime kind of show, but it still is a show. You still have to consider the overall experience of viewing, listening, and watching the screen from the participant's point of view. Finally, the seamless dynamics. I might eat up a little bit of my time with the Q&A. Mike told me to just take my time a little bit. So last of the SGS. The first S is screen continuity, easy to remember. The next is G, is for great graphics, and the last S is for seamless dynamics. Well, I take back what I said. Maybe this is also the other 40%. So maybe 40% continuity slides, continuity screen, and then 40% seamless dynamics front and in the back room. And then finally, the great graphics will be the rest of the 20%. So that's how I would prioritize the three. First, maybe a lot of you are not yet doing this. Start doing this. Virtual walkie-talkie. I've talked to other events organizer in their own company. So if they coordinate at the back room, they do the tech runs, they do that. But during the live show, they would be calling from their cell phone and say, yeah, can you cue the speaker now? Or, oh, yeah, please call the next one, the host. Or please tell the host. So what we do, and it started in PMAP. I didn't know about this until, of course, Miss Grace, our President Grace in PMAP, asked us to initiate the webinar. And so it was a chaos when we don't have a walkie-talkie. I know in events management, even before the COVID, they do have this cute, cool walkie-talkie. But now that is in COVID and virtual, so what we have designed is that you can do virtual walkie-talkie for background coordination with the host, to the technical director, to all the other technical team roles via FB Messenger audio group call. Easy, you've done that probably before, but it's only up to 8. And so we have the FB Messenger room for more than 8 technical team, or even speakers or hosts. If it's more than 8, then go for FB Messenger room group call. You can do that there. And also the ever reliable Viber audio group call. No need to do a video, just a audio group call. So both work well. And so that's why if you notice us in the technical team, you might have not seen it because we're not on view, but we have 2 headsets. The first headset is to our monitor in the computer so we could hear what's going on. But the other headset is the very noisy walkie-talkie, all of us in the back room doing all of these things while you guys viewing it are experiencing almost smooth transitions. But there's a lot of work that's going on, that's happening in the background to make it happen for you. And that's exactly the same also in TV broadcasting production. It's exactly the same thing, even in radio. Next is the equipment and gadget setup. Before this, the host, I really require the MC to be in the walkie-talkie. Maybe he can just, or she can just pull it off, or take it off rather, when he or she is addressing now his script or spiel. But when he is not, he needs to be back on the walkie-talkie because that's the only way we could I, as the technical director, for example, could signal him to stop, pause, ad-lib, etc. And all the other stakeholders, the decision maker, the main decision makers of your team. Equipment and gadget setup. So this was the CIB.O. This was my setup at home and the home office. Pardon the mess. But if you simplify that, it's just like this. First, there's the primary desktop or laptop to run the C slides, the continuity slides. So that's the most powerful computer that you could ever have to run the C slides without problems. The next one is your 2 external monitor, which is the first one is for the presentation viewer and the other one is that for the participant gallery view, so you can see what the participants are doing. So these 2 are connected to this main computer setup. And then you have your secondary desktop or laptop to act as participant audio video viewer. So so this is logged in as a participant or as a host or a co-host so that you would know what they hear, because there's a lag. For example, this is my own voice and this is the monitor voice. So I know that there is a latency, a few seconds of latency. So when I'm speaking, I know that I'm hearing myself on the other side. And finally, the ever reliable smartphone for the virtual walkie-talkie for all of you who are doing technical team production. Now, the technical production team, or what we call the tech team. So for CIB.O, we're just 4 of us. Myself as the technical director, Jingle Crescencio here as the assistant technical director, and backup C slides. Now, for your information, because we'll be talking about BCP also in events management, Jingle has to be on another site, redundant site, with a backup clone C slides just in case I would have a power down, internet down, etc. She can be the director and she can also run the slides as if like I have no role in there. So that's what we do. In PMAP, we also did that redundancy site, just like your BCPs. We also have redundancy strategies here. And then we have John Michael Largo, JM Largo. Say hi, wave your hand. Our IT, I call him the IT magician. So cool, but he comes up with beautiful IT solutions to our problems as we prepare for the CIB.O. And graphics master, very cool graphics master. And redundancy site manager with Jingle. And then finally Cell, our overall production assistant, and speaker conduit. She was queuing the speaker. So while you were listening to the speaker, the next speaker, she was calling up the speaker and said, "Sir, it's now time for you to turn on your video, turn off your audio. Now it's time for you to speak." She was doing that for all the speakers in the CIB.O, because there were many speakers. There were 16 speakers then. So that's a CIB.O. Tech team, very simple, but very efficient. And thank you, Mr. J.M. Largo. Special mention. Now for PMAP, we have the equivalent of the Marvel Studios Avengers. Now this is the Avengers. And I made this just for you, Avengers team who are all here, 1.0, because there's now a 2.0. Last year was Avengers 1.0 and then 2.0. So why were we called Avengers? It's just the tech team, but we just somebody nicknamed us Avengers. Because what we experienced is that when we started way back in March of 2020 doing the webinars in PMAP, we didn't know anything at all about virtual. But each of us, each to his own or her own acclaimed, self-appointed strengths, our graphics artist, our moderator, our MC, they were all leveling up their skill on their area. Well, I probably was also doing my own leveling up in the technical direction. And over a few months, we noticed that each one was leveling up his or her own skill or strength in contribution to the technical team production. And somebody just going, "We are the Avengers," and somebody was joking and say, "You are the Captain America," or something like that, because the leader and the coordinator, and the rest have their own roles. Take a look at this. I'm not sure if you could see the small ones, but say for example in my case, I was a technical director, and the main technical director, because there were assistant technical directors. We have C-Slide. I also do the C-Slide design initially, but I turned it over to Miss Anne DiParini. Of course, Grace Iligan, our president in PMAP, was our virtual event stakeholder and sponsor. So she calls the shots when it's time to call the shots, when to start, to stop, chat, extend, etc. And then we have our assistant director, our first assistant director, Pinky Mante, who is a very good video creator. The PMAP team, she does that and many other things. She's also a graphics creator. She is also an MC, a moderator, an all-around technical troubleshooter, like a SWAT in our team. And then virtual photographer, the paparazzi in PMAP webinar. So she plays a lot of things. And then we have Odette Cambongo. I call her Agent O, C-Slides manager. She controls the slide when it shows up in there. So if the transitions are very good, it's up to her. If the transitions are very bad, I blame her. And so she's very, very on her toes when she's operating the C-Slides. And then she can also do MCing and hosting. And then we go back to Andy Parini, all around graphics and visual content creator. Canva is her toy. she can design things with her eyes closed. And then C-Slides design master eventually after me. Then Q&A moderator. Because in webinar, for example, if there are questions and then your speaker are thrown different kinds of questions, and if you don't curate that before you throw that relevant question, then it could be very messy. So somebody has to do a Q&A curation before it's being passed on to the moderator, and then finally the moderator will just shoot it to the speaker. But the curation of it is already done in the back room. So the Q&A curation, we also just invented that. Then we have our assistant director, J.M. Gelias, from the Zoom platform host. He owns the 100 Mbps and then the Zoom, etc. And the technical troubleshooter, he's very good at this. So thank you, for example, on this. And then Jojo Cinco on Chatbox Manager. If you notice, while there is an MC on the audiovisual main thing, there also needs to be an MC kind of role, but the Chatbox Manager, to greet, to open, to answer questions, etc., from the chat box of the Zoom or whatever you're using. And finally, we have Mel Invento, social media ads expert, and then our speaker conduit in the PMAP, queuing us to the different external partners and all-around production assistant. And then finally, we have Ian Rial, our chat box manager, our omnibus chat box manager. He's always doing the chat box management. Could also be an MC host. And program manager, Miss Vera Villamor, does the program before it's being sent to the C-Slides designer and also a moderator and host. So very elaborate, but because we do a lot of webinars in PMAP the previous year and even right now. So bottom line, the key roles in the tech teams, this could be very elaborate, but you could very well make it a few lang, depending on the how elaborate is your virtual event. So director, directress, C-Slides manager, C-Slides designer, MC moderator, chatbox manager, Q&A curator, external conduit, speakers queue assistant, graphics designer, documentation expert, like the paparazzi. Very important when we were already documenting it and we forget, but Pinky Manti is always there. Virtual photographer, social media expert, and program manager. Technical dry runs. So what are technical dry runs? So these are the numerous, I would not say just one unless it's very simple, but numerous tech runs that you do prior to the actual live show. What do we do there? We test the C slides. The C slides must be done days before the actual show so that we can still edit it, etc. Lots of time and patience. Graphics, MC, and even speakers. Did you know that we did tech runs with the speakers also? Because some of them are not are tech challenged. So you could not assume that they are already very good at it. So you'll have to ask and you have to determine and you need to require them to do a virtual tech runs. Speakers, and then we do event continuity planning. So we practice in the tech runs our event continuity planning. And I think that's the next one. Yes, that's the next event continuity planning, or industry-wide we call it the BCP. So we tested we brainstormed, we tested, and we implemented backup plans for power down, internet down, MC down. So this is very important, the MC down. As big as CIB.O or PMAP EGMM, we already have our backup MC, and in fact in the regional conference of PMAP, we already have the backup MC on her dress code, so that, and it happened. The MC was down because the power was down at his location, and boom, the backup MC, I think if I'm not mistaken, that was Miss Veracruz Villamor, was already in not gown, but his formal dress for the MC. So very, very good in terms of the ECP. And then everything is done. What do we do? So we run through different scenarios, just like you do with BCP. This is not new to you, but we also apply this to the events management. Continuity script. For what is continuity script? How is it different with continuity slides? A continuity script for very elaborate production. Like I think we have a Dolly PMAP webinar, and there were many moving parts, from the speakers to the segments that we did. So it needs a technical continuity script. It provides, it's an Excel document, it provides a step-by-step, segment-by-segment, role-by-role, overall guide for all on-screen and off-screen. Because the continuity slides is for on-screen, but continuity script runs or directs the continuity slide and all other off-screen, behind-the-scenes production activity. This is the technical team's overall guide. A close-up on the sample continuity script. So we have the time by seconds. It's really by second if you really want to do this well. And you have, for example, what does the slides manager do at a certain time, a certain minute or second? What is shown on the on-screen? And what does the anchor news or the host, the MC, speak or does as a spiel? Do as a spiel, rather? What the moderator, chat box manager, I just cut this, but it's a whole long of Excel spreadsheet that puts everyone there in their role. And so the technical director doesn't even have to do the directing as long as it goes according to the continuity script. It's a smooth flow. The only time the director comes in is when there is a disruption in the continuity script. So yeah, so if a lot of you or some of you are do want to have a copy of sample of this, just chat your name and email so that we can send you after the webinar. That's it. Where I leave you with, I think I overshot my 30 minutes. It's 40 minutes if I'm mistaken, even more. But I hope we can still do a Q&A. So SGS, what is SGS? Number one, screen continuity. And what is G? Great graphics. And number three, S, it's seamless dynamics amongst all players, both frontliner, and then also the backroom technical teams and other stakeholders. CIB.O and the Lilolele company has partnered recently. I think Mr. Buddy will do a quick sales speech on this, event management consulting, right after our Q&A. I'll stop my sharing and then open up for Q&A. We didn't come up with a moderator. We didn't come up for a moderator for the Q&A, so I'd like help from... okay. I think some are having questions here and it's already being answered. So Jing, let me know which questions have not been answered that I may be able to answer. Again, Avengers Technical Team 1.0 are welcome to join me in the questions that are difficult that I could not answer. Anybody can open their audio and shoot a question to me?
We have from CEO Datan, if
Hello,
I
hi,
pronounce
CEO.
it correctly. How do you maintain high quality video output from OBS to Zoom? Usually, Zoom reduces the video quality during Zoom meeting to 360p.
All right. You have, okay, it's in the system requirements, CEO. You look up in the obsproject.com. There is a system requirements in there. Most likely, if this is the case, there could be other reasons, but most likely, it is the laptop running your OBS that's probably not up to the system requirements. So if you meet the system requirements in there, my big guess is that you should not have a problem with the video quality degradation. Check it out in the obsproject.com. I hope I was able to answer that because we've tried that. That's why we were not able to do OBS in the CIB.O last month because our equipment are not up to the system requirements. But we have plans to upgrading this to to meet the system requirements. See you. I hope I have answered. Yes, see you. You have a follow-up
Yeah.
question?
Hello. Yeah.
Yes. Hi.
Actually, the problem is not with OBS going to Zoom.
Ah.
Actually, I'm using vMix. The problem is Zoom usually limits the output video to 360p so that it will be faster. Like
Okay.
even if you have a high def camera, when it comes out in Zoom during meeting, they reduce it to 360p. So I was wondering if you found a work around with it.
Okay.
I have no problem with bandwidth.
Ah.
My bandwidth is 200,
Okay. Wow.
so it's not with
Envy
yeah,
you.
it's not with yeah. I think there's a
And it's not
problem
also
with
in your system requirements. Your machines are okay.
no, I'm using Asus
Ah. Okay.
gaming, yeah, with dedicated
GP
video card,
GPU. Yeah.
1660, yeah, GTX 1660. So it's 6 gigabits, so it's more than enough for the requirement for
So
OBS.
here you go.
Yeah, so
CEO
yeah,
the gamer. I wait, CEO. Let me check if JM Largo, Sir Mike, you've done some experimenting on the Zoom output. You might have an answer to that, or if you don't have, that's okay. We will not probably be able to answer that. But Sir JM, you might have an answer to that.
Yes, sir.
Our IT
CEO,
magician.
is your
JM.
Zoom account uh, a paid one or a free one? Because free ones are limited to, I think, 360p only. And for the screen share, it's for the 1720p resolution only. You need to have at least a Zoom Pro or Zoom Business account to access the high resolution, the 1080p picture.
yeah, I use I use business, and also use the pro account. So
It's the same.
yes, they have this feature that you can do HD meeting, but sometimes it's not one because you can check what uh, what you are sharing, like your camera with the statistics. It shows in the settings and statistics. You can see what your uh, what your Zoom is broadcasting, if it's 360 or if it's 720. So, and then the problem with if I use the screen share method, the problem is it's optimized for graphics, so it's choppy. Like the frame rate is not good for video. So it's like robotic. So yeah, I'm still looking
Right.
for a way to kuan to.
CEO, I'm sorry we're not able to answer that. A
It's
little bit
okay. It's
more of
okay.
research on the internet may probably solve it. Thank you, CEO.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Mike, go ahead.
At,
You might
is
have a
my
final
mic
word on
visible?
the question on CEO.
Audible ba ako, mic?
Can you speak up a little bit? It's clear, but it's not loud.
Hello? Is it
You're
okay,
like in
Mas?
the cave, inside the cave. All right. Why don't we do this, Sir Mike? Why don't we connect with CEO offline and maybe an exchange of emails or yeah, we have CEO's email naman. So CEO, maybe if Sir Mike, our technical IT magician, has final words on this, maybe it would help. I would commit. Maybe I can commit Mike to reach out to you, CEO. All right, offline.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you, CEO.
much.
Bye bye.
It would be a big help. Thank you.
All right. Any other? Any other? Jing, I'm not monitoring the chat box. I could not see it, so just let me know.
Neil,
Any other on audio who would like to ask a question? I think we still have some few minutes of time.
some of them may just be silent, Neil, no? But considering the things that we've been doing, and this might look high tech to some of you, to some of the audience here. They might be asking, how bloody is the cost to avail of our services here and to level up our Zoom meetings? Is it costly? Is it going to? Do we need a huge budget? Some of them may
No,
be asking.
if you're familiar with events management prior COVID, the live one, it's a fraction of the cost. Because see, you don't get into the lighting, the par lights, all of those lights, the sound system, you don't get into that. And most likely your events management consultant would already have the basic equipment to run most of your, even your most elaborate design for your so it's a fraction of the cost of a live events management execution. So for details, you may contact Buddy.
Actually, CIB.O is helping, assisting Neil in reaching out the market, no? Because we wanted to help people in leveling up their virtual meetings, and I think it's about time that you should avail of technology and maximize the opportunity that's available in the system around us. Of course, you just need some technical help. We have some friends here who shared some information on the chat box. So
Thank
you can copy it.
Yeah. I saw
Bren
Paul.
was trying to say something. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Hi. Thank you, buddy. Hi, Neil. Finally.
Hi, Brenda. Maing hapon.
Maing hapon. Yes. This is Brenda from the American Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to say, believe kay ko the way the Transformation Summit was. I already mentioned this to Buddy and to Sir Francis Monera. I was really impressed with the way it was run this last July, and congratulations. It was for me really seamless. We also do virtual meetings in the chamber, and as much as possible we just do it as simply as we could. After looking at your the way you do your tech, the composition of your tech team, what would you suggest would be the simplest structure for a tech team? Like how many people minimum that can run a successful virtual event?
All right. In just my experience on handling virtual events, so you need to have a technical director or directress that is keen on details and keen on control. Because if you have a technical director just because he's the oldest or whatever is the criterion, it will not work. So that person must be keen on details, high on control, so that and that's me. So that these things, but gentle, you add on the gentleness in there, and that's all.
Gentle na OC.
Right, gentle na OC because there are also not gentle na OC. So those are so number one. Number two, you need to have not really a graphics designer pro, just someone who knows a little bit of graphics color combination, audio because you need to have an audio experience also, not just the slides. So a little bit of that. So because that person can already do the C slides. If it's a simple concept, then that person. And then eventually during the show or the town hall, because we may not have a show but the town hall for example, then of course your C slide manager, the one who runs the C slides, who must have at least 50 to 100 Mbps, and that's our dear agent Odette Kambonga in here, so she's always assigned to do that. So and then maybe the last one, so the technical director, the graphics, because a technical director can also be the C slide content creator, and during the show you have a separate technical director and the C slide operator or manager. And then the other one is the rest of the technical, which does the unmuting, muting. So four. So just like the CIB.O, there were just four of us, and it was a massive 4 days, 2 hour each. So there were only four of us, but it was very stressful at the back. There were four technical teams, although there are other people like our main stakeholder body there. So the MC is different because the MC is not part of the technical team. So upat lang, Ma'am Bren. So at the very minimum. But these four have dapat multi-skills.
Multi-skills,
So,
yeah.
So four at the minimum.
Okay. Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome, Ma'am Bren. A few more questions. I think we have a few more minutes left for this. I know we're overshooting by maybe 15, 20, but I think the questions will be relevant. And Paul, just to affirm and acknowledge, thank you for helping out in the question of CEO. I hope there is a social networking of learners here. So you guys are more technical than I am. I am the technical director, but I am not an IT expert. So I depend on my IT expert like Mel, Pinky in the Avengers team, and also JM. But for the CIB.O, it was Sir JM who did all of that. So Paul, thank you very much for all of your social learning activation in here. Any other who would like to ask a few questions? So dalian nato para makadaghan ta. Anyone else? Jing, is there any question in the... Okay, na answer na. All right. So it looks like it's either you guys are a shy group or you have a different way of asking questions via the chat box, which have already been answered by some of you. All right. And so this is where we would end unless there is a pahabol question by anyone. Before we will end, I will have a few words. First, I would revert to the mnemonic SGS. Screen continuity is 40% of the success of your big time show or big time virtual events. Number two, seamless dynamics between the frontliners and backroom people is paramount to 40% of your success. That's why if you have speakers, especially for example external speakers, really get the rapport of them and say, sir, ma'am, we really need to have you on the technical run, because some would not attend your technical runs, and that would spell the difference between success and failure. And then finally, great graphics, about 20% of the rest. So I'd like to thank my technical team in CIB.O, Sir JM, John Michael Largo, and Miss Jingle Crescencio and Miss Sel Bangot. And of course, thank you to you, buddy. And to the Avengers 1.0, gumawa pa ako ng graphics for all of you. 1.0, thank you. I could not have done it without all of you pushing, contributing. And finally, special mention to Cesar Ian Rial, who at the first time in February, when I hesitated to direct the first technical team of PMAP webinar, but to push me and say, just try it out. Thank you so much. It all started from you. And for the rest of the Avengers team, daghang salamat for all your support. It was a team effort, and a show like this could not be done without a team behind all of us. Sir, one lastly, a little plugging. You might have seen in the AVP loop, the Bow and Arrow e-video. It's an online parenting course that Lilolele, at my back here, our company, has already perfected as an online learning course. Very life-changing session, I assure you. So we're gonna chat on the chat box. There's some links in it, or maybe email you some one-time email for an advertisement of the Bow and Arrow. Please check it out if you're a parent with a 10-year-old to 21-year-old. And with that said, I'll turn you over back to Sir Buddy for the final and closing remarks, and maybe a little sales pitch. And that's it. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much. Sir Bud?
Can you hear me? Guys.
Yes, we can. Sir Buddy, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me, guys?
Now we can hear you.
Okay, good. I think something is wrong with my line here. But anyway, thank you for being with us today, guys. Can I ask you to open your cameras for a quick snapshot on who are here with us today for documentation purposes? Oh, they seems it seems
you cannot turn on. You cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. JM.
Mike, can you advance so that they could open their cameras? Okay. Thank you for joining us. At least, Mr. Julian Payne is here. He's the president
Canadian
of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce.
Hi, Sir Julian.
Hi, and I'm learning a lot. Thank you very much.
Regards from Cebu, Mr. Payne. Okay, Mike, can we take to those who are still closed? Okay, we're taking a snapshot for documentation of this activity. Okay. Thank you, everyone. It's great to have you around with us this afternoon, Neil. You really did your job well, and hopefully we could deliver more of the services to you soon. Feel free to visit us at our Facebook page. We have our scheduled webinars there. Facebook.com/CIB.org.ph. And may you all have a safe journey as you depart from this conference. Thank you and have a great day.
Have you ever wondered why there aren't a lot of formal courses or workshop type of trainings on parenting? We too, but we have since stopped asking that question. Hello, my name is Neil M. Antiquina, co-founder of the Lilolele company.
And I'm Joanne Antiquina, Neil's wife and co-founder of the company. Instead of feeling helpless asking that question, we have designed for you an online workshop type training on parenting, the first in a series we call the Bow and Arrow.
What is Bow and Arrow? It used to be a face-to-face parenting workshop. Then during the first year of the pandemic, we converted it into a live webinar. And now, it's also available as an online parenting course via videos on demand. Whatever the format is, it is essentially a one-to-one date with your child, where both of you will go through 7 hours and 5 modules of relevant learning, engaging activities, and meaningful conversations. At the start of the workshop, you and your child will play archery using homemade bows and arrows. I guarantee you it will bring out the child in you again.
Then, using the insights from the experience of the archery fun, You will be able to connect to the dynamics of your parent and child relationship. From there, you and your child are going to have engaging activities and meaningful conversations about three things. First is about your child's life mission. We call in the training that the Archer's Mark. Second is your and your child's highs and lows journey. And third is the affirmation of the strengths of each other in a safe yet intimate life-changing sessions.
These activities and conversations with your child will amazingly power up your relationship with them. A lot of previous participants have given us their positive feedback about their life-changing experiences. Here are some of their verbatims.
This is a life technology.
It's one of a kind, highly recommended for everyone, regardless whether you have a very good relationship with your kid or not.
The workshop taught us how to be guided by our Ikigai to discover our mission and purpose in life and how to reset frequently before it's too late.
This is helpful in deciding for a course in college.
We are blessed and inspired by these awesome reviews. We want the positive experience of both parent and child to continue even beyond the workshop. So, as a big bonus, we built in a sustainability habit forming activity we call the Bow and Arrow Huddle, a 7-step, 15-minute weekly or bi-weekly date with your child where you continue the activity and conversations you already started in the workshop.
We hope we were able to interest you in the Bow and Arrow program. The Bow and Arrow online course plus the Bow and Arrow Huddle are now available through our videos on demand. Get your link now and have that life-changing date with your child. By the way, your child must be at least 10 years old up to 21 years old.
See you in the videos.
Thank you. Oh, but wait, there's more.
Hello everyone! I'm Pio Gerard, and I invite you to participate in this bow and arrow course.
And I'm Carmel Grace. My favorite part of the workshop is the huddle.
I'm Claire Vianney, and I most enjoy the highs and lows journey. And I'm Frances Noel, and I especially love the archery game.
Bye-bye!
Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for staying on until the end of the Bow and Arrow Huddle promotional video. Be safe wherever you are, at home or going home. Bye-bye.